Happy Monday motivation. Let's get started. This week, we are going to be revisiting our why. Sometimes I feel like a broken record. I want to talk about your why when you first enrolled in the Jumpstart. I wanted to talk about your why halfway through the Jumpstart. Wanted you to talk about your why every 3 months. And the reason I spend so much time focusing on your why is because it's the fuel that drives this journey. Without it, it's just becomes something we do or don't do. But with a powerful why, it becomes a fire in our belly that we cannot say no to, that we are driven to achieve. And reminding ourselves of that why is important. So let's get to it. Why have a why? What is a why? And why does a why matter? A why is what drives you. Think about every task you've aimed to accomplish: buying your first home, finishing a degree, working for a promotion. These things are hard. They take us out of our comfort zone, they take work, but they were prompted by a very strong reason, a why. The why is the reason behind the action. We do not act consistently without a very powerful reason, especially if the task requires work, discomfort, or even growth. When it comes to our health, the why behind our action will grow and change as our lives grow and change. Through the course of this video, I want you to begin to get in touch with your why and identify how it has grown and changed, not just during the course of this program, but throughout your life. When I think back to my own weight loss and health journey, I'm amazed by how my reasons for getting healthy have changed so much. 15 years ago, when I first dropped my weight, the reasons were very different than what they are today. I was about 80 pounds over a healthy BMI and 87 pounds heavier than I am today. I had 2 young kids, and my why had a lot to do with them. I wanted to be able to keep up with them. I wanted to not feel the shame in my body being next to all these young, fit moms. I was also just so uncomfortable. I didn't want to be intimate or do any kind of activity that might expose me too much. I also got extreme anxiety going to special events. I could never find clothes that I liked. And I always felt like I was disappointing those around me, folks who hadn't seen me for a while. I would think, wow, they must be thinking she still hasn't lost the weight. Now, fast forward 15 years. Now, in that time, I did drop the weight, but as you know, during COVID, I gained over 25 pounds. I'll be honest, those concerns I had to lose weight the second time around, very different, right, from 15 years ago. I didn't care so much just about what people thought of me. I still recall even being 35 pounds over a healthy BMI, taking off my clothes while at the beach to my undergarments and jumping in the ocean. My friend said, "Wow, you seem more confident now than you did at your healthiest weight." And I said, "Yeah, because I don't really care what people think anymore." I now know that my body is not a representation of my self worth. I don't feel shame in relation to my body at whatever size it is. I know that my success has nothing to do with my waist size. Um, Now, that doesn't mean I wanted to stay at this heavier weight. Although those things no longer work for my why 15 years ago, my new why, well, it was for a lot of other reasons. I was uncomfortable. Things in my body started to hurt that hadn't hurt before. I had a foot issue that prevented me from easily walking from just the car to the grocery store, and that was just not okay for me. I started to find that the only joy I looked forward to was food, and my obsession with it became all consuming. It was distracting, and I seemed to look for any reason to eat like crap. And COVID gave us all many reasons and excuses to eat like crap. Kids, want some pizza since we can't hang out with friends? Hey, hubby, can we order something in while we watch this movie? The worst part was the moment the food stopped working to numb me, because that happens. Didn't seem to matter how much I ate, I still felt this longing. And that was my why. That was what pushed me. Begin to think of your why as something that guides your actions. Kind of like when you put a destination in your GPS or Maps app, right? It tells you where you're going. Now, you need to be flexible in the way you approach your destination, But without knowing where you're going, it's very hard to start out in the journey. My primary function as your coach is to provide you with instruction, information, and support for losing weight, eating for optimal health, and identifying coping mechanisms other than food. We do this through behavior change, instruction, and accountability. What I teach you mainly is the how. It's you that needs to determine the why. I do sprinkle a bit of why in there, but it may not be a why that matters to you. I mean, increasing vegetables will help with long term health, right? Reducing packaged food with an awareness of its damaging effects will help for improving your overall health. But is that part of your why? So, although I may be adding to your why, which is great, there has to be so much more to your why, so much more of an internal decision of why this matters to you. And I really can't give that to you. When identifying our why, the details matter. What do I mean by that? Well, it's easy to say in our society everyone should lose weight or be healthy, but there are lots of ways to tackle those goals. So we need to get more specific. For example, the Maria of 15 years ago, she did not care so much about her long term health. Her focus was simply losing weight and getting to eat what she wanted to. And so I did a moderation diet that allowed me to do those things. Nutrition was not my concern 15 years ago. If it was beyond the calories, I didn't care. But now I have a very specific why. And it's a combination of things, but I'll share one with you. I remember very distinctly as a young child watching my mom suffer through the fear of high blood pressure. I definitely didn't understand what was so scary about this cuff that she would put on almost every day, but I knew it threw her into a panic. I still recall going into Walgreens with her and often leaving in tears. She seemed to be afraid for her life based on what this machine told her. And I was young and afraid right there with her. I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for myself. I want to move easily. And for me, inflammation is a huge part of that. So, yeah, I opt to eat foods that do not cause inflammation. I want to reduce my chances of having high blood pressure and reduce my risk of breast cancer. I don't want to be my mom sitting in that cuff. And every aunt I have, as well as my grandmother, has suffered with breast cancer. I don't want to be there either. So when I'm looking at my food choices, I'm not just looking at the calories because although it feels really great to be in a smaller size dress, I'd much rather not be crying in a mammogram room waiting for the results, right? I want to feel free from those things. And so when I know that is my goal, then the next step is clear. Does that make sense? If my intention is not to have high blood pressure, I know what I need to avoid. If my intention is to reduce my risk of breast cancer, I know what to avoid. And so our why sets us on a path. Right now, you're looking to me for guidance on which foods are great for optimal health and which will hold you back. But your why will also help frame that and help you make the choices you need to. When you're looking at a food item or trying to determine, is this something I want to consume? Think about it. Does it support the life you're trying to create? Does it support your health goals? Let's go back to that example of blood pressure and my mom. If I'm looking at salt and weight loss is my only goal, well, all I'm going to say is, well, salt is 0 calories, so I'm okay with that. I'll have salt. But if food addiction is one of my concerns, I might want to not eat the salt, right? Because salt leads to overconsumption of food, right? If I am concerned with blood pressure, which I am, then the salt really doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me, right? So when I have a strong why, it makes it so clear which food choices I need to make. Now, my why and my goals are not your why or your goals. For example, for me, my goal is not to create tasty dishes in the kitchen. My goal is not related to creating healthy, wonderful dishes for my family to eat. It's just not that important to me. But it doesn't mean it's not important. If for you, feeding your family healthy meals and helping them transition to eating healthier is a goal for you, if it puts a fire in your belly, well, then that's your why, or one of them. And it's clear what steps you're going to need to take to get there. You might start checking out blogs or YouTube videos of whole food plant based chefs. You might purchase some cookbooks. You might spend a few hours in the kitchen creating recipes and seeing what works for your family. Do you see how the why, it clearly outlines the path you're going to take? When you're thinking about your why, it should be so specific to you that no one else in the group can use it. It's specific to your life, your intentions, and designed just for you. The moral, you need to find out what drives you. Continue to choose you, choose health.